Um, Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's had a good Easter. Hope everybody's had a wonderful time with your family. Come in fellowship with the Lord. And today was more than I expected, and I'm gonna try my best to hold this one together for everybody. I'm usually pretty good at doing that because I'm just not an emotional person, or at least I try not to be on the outside. On the inside, I can be an emotional train wreck sometimes. Most of you know how I've preached before about my brother, my grandfather, and my aunt. And I always include them in my stories, and I try not to talk about them in every situation, but it seems like it's hard to not sometimes because there's so many examples from their lives that I'm able to include into my messages and what I talk about. And today, I don't know why, Easter of all days, the conversations I've had with friends that are preachers today, my fellow family, some of which I haven't seen in a while, about a lot of deep rooted issues, a lot of deep things that I'm not going to openly discuss on here, but things that have been kept to the side for a long time, almost hoping that these issues would kind of just disappear. And today was a huge lesson in forgiveness. And I've been saying for a while, talking to God, understanding and knowing that if someone like me, you guys have seen some of the stuff I've posted before. You guys know some of the videos I've made before. Some of you have worked around me. Some of you have seen me out in public. So, you've heard my mouth on me sometimes, and it would just blow your mind to think that today I'm even making messages, even saying or preaching anything about God. Someone who has hardly ever read the Bible, someone who does not attend church regularly, it's a shock for some people, and I understand that. And I've said it before, I'll continue saying it. I've got such a long road ahead of me, as we all do. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, you never get there. You're always learning something new every day. But today, um, I felt something that I've thought about it all day today. I lost my brother. I lost my brother when I was 14. And me and my brother loved each other. We grew up with each other. We had our typical brother on brother moments. We fought about different things and argued and whatnot, but we ultimately loved each other. And it was such a shock to lose my life because there was no way. My brother should have lived till he was a very old man. Everybody loved my brother. He had probably the greatest personality out of any of us. And he was so smart and he was so talented in literally everything that he did. My grandfather, my daddy's daddy, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm trying my best here. My daddy's daddy died in a hospital when I was right in the middle of high school. And what came from that was my entire life flipped upside down. And as a kid, growing up, this is harder than I thought. But I gotta do this. I gotta say this. I was an outcast all throughout school. I was picked on ever since a young age. Me and my brother both were. Because of our last names. And because we just were who we were. My brother fared better than I did. And I grew up with the intention of just not liking people because of that. Not wanting to be social, not wanting to really make friends or do anything extra in life. Just, be me, do whatever I want. And that crippled me. My parents pushed me when we got into high school, and they had to start over a whole new life with a new business. And the grandfather that I had just started to have a relationship with, who was starting to show me the ropes of things in life, was immediately gone. And if you'd have told me 15 years ago we'd be in progress, this is where I'd be living, and I'd be working where I work now, doing what I do, I wouldn't have believed you. There's just no way. But I look at my life today. I fell asleep at my daddy's office because I was so tired and exhausted one evening, leaving school and going to that shop to help them get off the ground. And they did it. And as soon as they were on their feet, my dad pushed me out the door and he said, "You've got to make it on your own out there. You've got to find something. There's something for you." And I had no idea what that was. And I was working these part-time jobs, and I loved every job I ever worked. I loved all the people I ever worked around, but these part-time jobs not making any money. And I was sitting there looking around, seeing friends do this and friends do that, and I was working my tail off, not getting anywhere in life, and I felt totally collapsed. Everything that I had ever wanted. My aunt had just died of breast cancer. One of the last shreds of my old life that I had left, besides mom and dad. Someone who taught me so much. My aunt told me before she died, she told me to always trust in God, because I wasn't having anything to do with him, especially during that time. And she told me that she lived the most beautiful life anybody could have ever lived. And even dying at the young age that she did not resent the years that she didn't get on earth. She was humbled and by how blessed she was of the years that she did live. And I remember telling myself that if anybody can go through what she did and still hold on to faith, there was no excuse for me. But it still took so long. It still took me so long to come to terms with who I really was and to get out of this cycle. And I held on to grudges, I held on to grievances, I was mad, upset. And one day I finally just hit my knees at my dad's shop, where most of this all started from. And I begged God to come into my life and do something with it, because I had no idea what I was going to do. And it was such a soul crusher for me, because I always had big dreams. And it felt like those dreams had gotten ripped away. And about 2 days later, a man named James Brumfield come walking in my dad's shop. Only me and my dad had this in conversation at all. And he told me about the opportunity to drive trucks for Coca-Cola. And I remember just sitting there thinking, like, this is not what I envisioned at all. I don't know a thing about 18-wheelers or trucks or whatever, but I got to do something. And I put forth the effort to move 1 foot ahead at a time. And I did it. The day that I went to get my CDL license, the federal inspector was there inspecting the guy that was inspecting me. So I had 2 clipboards on me that day. Something that doesn't happen very often. Nervous. This is my life, my career riding on the thing here. When we got out, they told me that I had aced and passed. And the guy asked me how long I've been driving. I told him that I've only had a little bit of experience behind the wheel with my permit. And the federal inspector told me, he'd never seen someone ace it like that, having as little knowledge that I did at the time. I had no idea that I even had a talent in that, or whatever you may call that. But God did. And I never would have known that had we stayed in that other life. We never would have gotten closer to God had things not happened the way that they did. wouldn't be living here on this property, and I wouldn't have met my wife. Me and her wouldn't be living together doing what we're doing now. And I've had to really think long and hard today. God didn't want to do what he did. He didn't want to change our lives around, and it was hard. But that's where you grow the most, is whenever you are hit with the hardest things in life, things that don't make no sense, things that just make you hit your knees. And through all this, I've learned to look back and say, everything in my life I forgive. I can't do this no more, holding on to grudges. I can't. The people that did stuff to me before, they're moving on with their lives. They ain't even thinking about the stuff before in the past. The times I was used, the times I had this happen and that happen, and I'm not going to go into all those details because I'm not that type of person. I don't want this to be a pity video. This is a rejoicing video, but man, it's just so hard to explain this stuff sometimes. And it's hard to do this and put this out there for the whole entire world to see your story. And I thought about it today. I think my brother's lesson I'm still learning in life, to work hard and to grow with personality. Because I'm very grateful for all the people that I know, what I do with my life now. And I think that was partly inherited from him. My grandfather's lesson in life was my heritage and me being a coon. Like my brother, like my dad, like his dad before him and his dad before him. They've always been entrepreneurs. They've always been good hard workers. Coons are really good at creating something where there once was nothing. And that house back there, that's part of my legacy. And I can hear my grandfather right now, that I built that from nothing. Every dime that I had left in my name, the car that I love so much that me and him worked on and started on together, all that was taken away. It was put away to start this, to make this happen. Because this was nothing but trees and brush like you see behind me. Every square inch of it. But I did it. And my aunt, I will preach her story to the day that I die. And I talked to some of my preacher friends today, and I'm going to go back into telling that story, because the night that I told that story in front of only 30 people, 3 or 4 of them joined the church and got saved later. And something, I don't know why I stopped doing it, but something's been telling me you've got to keep doing it. You've got to keep talking. You've got to keep saying stuff. You've got to keep preaching. No matter how hard it is, no matter how much you don't still understand, you've got to go off of what you know. Because there's somebody out there who is always going to be struggling, who's always going to be hurting, who's always not going to understand. And they need to know that they're not the only ones in the world. I may never become a preacher. That's not what I feel in my heart. Not as of yet right now. But my true goal, from someone who once never wanted anything to do with anybody at all, now has the desire to actually help people however he can. And right now, speaking and telling personal testimonies of what he went through in life and what he was able to learn and figure out, I'm hoping that does something for somebody out there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make such a long video, and I didn't mean to do all that, but I knew going into this was going to be tough. I've had such a hard time telling this stuff before. And I want you to know, you know who you are. If me and you've ever had ways before in the past, I forgive you. I forgive you. I'm moving on, and I truly mean that. I might still think about it, but I'm forgiven and I'm moving on. I have to. One day I'm going to be judged for who I am and the things that I do. And I will be judged based off the same way that I judged others here on earth. And let me tell you something, I need some extra credit. I'm just going to be completely honest with you, because I have not been that great a person, to be completely honest with you. And that's all I wanted to say. Thanks anybody that listened to this story. I love y'all and I appreciate it. And I'll be seeing you in another video, but I had to put this out here today. Forgive if you can. If you still have anything burning in your heart, anything left inside of you, it's not worth it. It's just not. You can never have true happiness and peace holding on to things in the past from anybody. You cannot live your life going around worrying about that person, or every time somebody brings up their name having something negative to say about you. You've got to get past that and move on in life. I know it's hard. I know it's not fair sometimes. But I don't trust myself to handle that situation. I turn it to someone else that knows the best way to handle it. And that's all I got. So I love y'all, and I'll see y'all in another one.